Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
And my name is Peter.
Where is she still?
She's still in Japan.
Oh, I didn't think she had gone anywhere.
No, but
Where is
apparently she's in Japan, would
Right.
you believe?
In Japan.
Yeah, the gen is that she's in Japan.
The jet.
What's the gen? The gen is that she's in Japan.
What's that? Is that one we've talked about before? The
Yeah,
gen?
it is.
Oh, I
What's the
forgot
gen?
that
Do you remember what's the gen?
General Goss or well, no, Goss is a different
it
one.
means gossip, but apparently it's an old military term.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Did we
it
work
was
out
on
what
a-
it was
it was on a
short
joint
for?
stream.
Yeah, no, I am sort of remembering now.
I can't remember what it's actually short for, but yeah, they said it in Atomfall, a game set
Did
in the
they?
1960s.
Okay.
A military man said, "Oh, I'm glad to hear you've got that piece of gen." I was like, I know what that means.
That's it. That's not contemporary slang at all.
No.
No, Ashton is still in Japan. She'll be hopefully rejoining us next week. Very excited to see her again.
Yes.
We've missed her around the office. But it's Peter and I this week. And it is
Sorry.
It is a huge, and Billy, and it's a huge Nintendo week. Obviously, we had the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct yesterday at the time of recording.
Yep.
Last week, there was a Nintendo Direct as well, but it happened after we recorded the podcast, so we couldn't talk about it then. We're not going to go into full details about that. Load of Switch 1 games, some of which are coming to Switch 2 as well. In the big discussion, we will, of course, talk all about the Switch 2.
Yep.
And we've got questions about other stuff as well, one of which is actually about last week's Direct. So,
Yes, indeed.
we're going to get into that in a minute. First of all, though, I need to talk to you about this week's sponsor.
Yeah, please do.
Each and every week, we're sponsored by a very real video game adjacent or indeed video game sponsor. Helps us keep the light on in this office. Do you see Dead Island 2 The Spider? Have you seen him anywhere?
Around the office, the other building that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's sort of moving around.
I saw him in the studio
Hanging about. Oh,
yesterday.
really?
Yeah, the streaming studio. I spotted him. He was on the stream technically.
I feel like, well, yeah, that's exciting. I feel like because it's spring now, it seems like he's moving around a bit more.
Right.
He's been like sleeping in a corner through the winter, and now he's up and about.
I feel like we should pick him up from the studio next door and help him out. Just bring him in.
Just bring him where he belongs.
Just bring if
Up
he's
there.
cold, you're cold, as they say. So
Yeah.
we'll bring him across.
Spiders die in hot cars.
They do. I've got the ad read in front of me here. There is a big PC release this week. In fact, it's out now, came out on the 3rd of April. So I don't know if you heard about this. Finally, much anticipated from Naughty Dog. It is, of course, The Last of Us Part 2, Re-Release 2, Remaster, Remake, PC, Big Bugs, Plenty of Crashes Edition.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to have another go at reading that.
Okay.
Because I tripped over it.
Right.
It is, of course, The Last of Us Part 2, Re-Release 2, Remaster, Remake, PC, Big Bugs, Plenty of Crashes Edition.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm
Use that one.
Looking forward to that. Yeah, use that
Use
one.
that one.
How exciting, because do you know what? I've been thinking for a while. I wish there was a more recent way for me to play The Last of Us Part 2.
It's been too long.
It's been too long since a new version came out. By which I mean, I played that once at launch, and I still do not feel ready to
Too
go back
harrowing.
to it. Yeah,
I'm fine. I'm good.
that's really exciting, and
Yeah.
I hope it does well because it is something that the community needs. I
Yeah,
think.
well, they've been crying out for it.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog, of course, doesn't really have much to work on
No.
but The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. So excited for them as well that they're
Yeah.
able to put this out. And it legitimately has just released on PC. At the time of recording, we don't know quite how big the bugs are or how plenty the crashes be.
Yeah.
But it's almost guaranteed, isn't it, given the track record of Sony releases on PC?
Well, and Naughty Dog, of course, home of Crash. They're the,
Very
the
true.
progenitors of Crash.
Yeah. Did he eat bugs? Is that a thing? Did
He
do
bounced
that?
on some at some point, I
Okay.
think.
There
Yeah.
we are. So it all
There were
thematically
bugs there, yeah.
ties in. It's not real science.
Oh,
to cut you
okay.
off.
Well, I was going to say it might be that instead they're currently working on the HD re-release of Intergalactic.
Right, of course.
I
They're
think-
already working
yeah.
on the on the remaster of that.
Yeah.
Always got to have a team working on remasters. No.
HD re-release. I just described it as a game that's not even out yet. We'll be getting an HD version.
That's very
eventually.
Xbox 360 coded of you.
Yeah, it is.
So no, we are not sponsored by The Last of Us Part 2, Re-Release 2, Remaster, Remake, PC, Big Bugs, Plenty of Crashes Edition. However, The Last of Us Part 2 is getting a release on PC this week.
Yes.
So please enjoy, ? We are, in fact, though, sponsored by our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump. If you go over there and support us, you get access to all sorts of rewards, including asking questions on this podcast. Thank you very much, question askers. Early access to worst and weirdest games, exclusive access to episodes of Rules Boss and Main Menu, and loads of other stuff.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Team TripleJump. Go check it out. TripleJumpShop.com if you want to buy some cool merch.
Not this one.
This one. I'm not even showing it. Can you see it? There we are. There's a track jacket. He's stripping.
I'm stripping again. I think
that?
there might be a couple of these still available.
Yeah.
The vintage retro logo.
We're both wearing our podcast uniform today.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, I've taken off my track jacket. This is a Lord Brozovic.
It is, yeah.
NES Madness. So you can't buy this from our store, but you can buy it from his if you like.
Yeah.
TripleJ.mup is our website. There you can find links to everything that we do. Please go and check it out. But there's a couple of big things that came out this week, Peter.
That's right. Weirdest Games Ever came out for everyone else, if you've not already seen it on Patreon, and that was Katamari Damacy.
Yeah, proper weird.
We were proper weird, and we also had some issues where someone had just taken a sample from the in-game music, used it in their own remix, and then that had been added to YouTube's Content ID system.
Yeah.
So we got done for copyright infringement for using the game music that they'd also ripped off from the game.
It's not even theirs.
No.
But because of the way that the guilty until proven innocent system that YouTube has for Content ID matching, the quibble that we have the grievance that we have now lodged with YouTube about the fact that they are incorrectly claiming that this song is theirs may not ever be resolved.
No.
30 days, they said, if they don't respond within 30 days, we'll allow you to have the monetization of the video. But it's in their court, so they could easily just go, the people who are incorrectly claiming it could just go,
no, yes, it is
actually ours. And YouTube will go, okay.
All right, fine.
Without doing any investigation.
Anyway, don't worry, we sorted it out.
Stupid.
The editors did it all by themselves without my guiding hand. So I'm not sure if they took it out. That was obviously the plan, that they might take the music out, or maybe just re-uploaded it and it didn't get matched the second time, which sometimes happens because the system works.
I think it may have been snipped.
Yeah,
But
I think it,
full versions on Patreon.
Exactly, yeah. Unedited on Patreon with the music.
Yeah.
And also, Main Menu went out this week for patrons only. So if you head to Patreon, $5, that's all it takes to watch that episode and the entire back catalogue.
Oh, yeah.
There is so much on there. If you've not ever been a $5 patron, you will die.
You will die. It will kill you.
Yes.
It's. I think that episode is our biggest triumph and also our biggest disappointment.
Yeah, it is. There was a huge victory in that. And let's just say there's a reason that the cross section of that dish was pixelated in the thumbnail.
You need to go check it out.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous. Or is it? There's no way of knowing. Time for question 1.
Yes, it's from Jeremy Miller, who says, "Hey BA,
hi BA,
hi BA. So last week, Nintendo rather nonchalantly announced that 2 PlayStation exclusives, Patapon and Everybody's Golf, were coming to Nintendo platforms. I didn't really see anyone make a big deal about it, but it had me wondering: do you think more PlayStation exclusives will make their way to Nintendo platforms? And what other PlayStation franchises do you think would be a perfect fit for the Switch? I think the Ape Escape trilogy would be great. Much love from New Zealand, smiley face." Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's right. We saw those at the Direct, and there wasn't really much fanfare about it, was there?
I thought it was really weird.
Yeah.
I was like, hang on, that's Everybody's Golf.
Yeah.
Why is that here? I'm used to playing that on Vita/PSP/PS3.
And Patapon as well, yeah. So it's interesting to see. And I do think that, we're already seeing PlayStation or Sony start to just venture out a little bit. We've seen it over the past year or so with PC, such as The Last of Us and similar big names. And then, here we've got it with the Switch as well. So I've brought a few examples of games that I think would fit very well.
Okay.
So in the vein of Patapon, I think Loco Roco is
absolutely
big Switch energy.
I've
very
got Loco
Nintendo.
Roco down as well,
I think also, I can see why they would maybe want to keep hold of this for themselves, but something like Sackboy is pretty Switch friendly. It's a colourful, happy little fellow doing fun things. And similarly, but this would never ever happen, Astrobot is actually a very Nintendo-y game, but of course, it being completely centered around climbing around on giant PlayStation consoles and meeting PlayStation characters, it would feel weird if it was anywhere else. But certainly in the kind of the DNA, I suppose, it does have quite a Nintendo feel. And then just one other thing that I thought was, there's a lot of JRPGs on PlayStation, and I think there's a lot of fans of that genre who are in the Nintendo ecosystem. So something like Stellar Blade, which I think is available on PC, as is Sackboy, actually. Sackboy's a big adventure, but something like Stellar Blade I think would go down pretty well. Yeah,
absolutely. I think Patapon and Everybody's Golf, they were exclusive, but they weren't they're not owned by Sony.
Right.
However, I think the ones that I have picked are, as far as I'm aware, owned by Sony to a degree. I completely agree on Loco Roco.
Yeah.
The biggest swing that I put down was Little Big Planet. Yeah. Because Sackboy Big Adventure, of course, would be right at home on there. But Little Big Planet especially, I think would probably run quite well on the Switch.
Yeah.
And they've all but abandoned that IP. They just sort of sat there. You can't even play them on contemporary hardware. Only 3, which was a PS4 game.
Yeah.
So bring those back, please. They're also a bit funny, aren't they? Because they're seemingly happy to start releasing these games on PC because they see a market there. I think it might be a cold day in hell before we get them releasing first-party exclusives on other systems. I'd still like to see it. Because I think that's just for the benefit of everyone. But still, Little Big Planet, I think I'd like to see that. I've definitely gone for more sort of light-hearted, colourful exclusive games. Specifically, I was just scrolling through the PS3 library, to be honest. But Concrete Jungle from PS4 would I think would be right at home on Switch. Puppeteer on PS3 was a lovely whimsical adventure. That would probably go down well. Super Rubber Dub as well.
Right.
Which was a PS3. I think it might have been maybe not a launch game, but certainly it was there at the advent of the PlayStation Store when they first launched that. And you literally just, using the 6-axis, it's a gimmick game. On the controller, you just tilt the controller to manipulate a stage, which is basically just a tub full of water.
Right.
And you have to tilt the ducks around the maze
I have
and
seen that.
Get them to the plug hole and avoid sharks and things like that. But it's very calm, very chill, and that's a great game.
Yeah.
By which I mean it's a very simple game.
Bring it
and
back.
The Switch would handle that great, I think. The last one I've got down is Bloodborne. Lol, they've done it.
They're doing it.
They already did. Well, they're not really.
Bloodborne 2.
We'll talk
they're
about
not
that.
actually doing it.
We'll talk about that later. But yeah, it's nice to see these games going onto other platforms. I do think both of these that have gone there, Everybody's Golf and Patapon, are perfect fits for the Switch and that audience. And there's so much stuff that seemingly PlayStation just doesn't bother with anymore.
Yeah.
Now they got rid of, a load of first-party studios that would traditionally make some of these smaller games. They don't really have the portfolio for it. The gap is being filled by indie titles.
Yeah, well, I nearly brought along a couple of games where the argument really would be more sort of along the lines of, well, they're not doing anything with it, so they may as well put it on the Switch. So something like Sly Cooper, Sly Raccoon, depending on where you live. And, again, sort of Ape Escape. You don't see much from the Ape Escape franchise anymore. So, that was one that Jeremy Miller brought along. So, yeah, it's good to see. And maybe it will be a slightly new lease on life for some of these brands. Whether it's going to lead to sort of like a level of excitement that warrants sequels being made and so on, probably unlikely. But hey, you never know. Maybe Everybody's Golf will continue to bring things out over the years. But
I hope so. Yeah. Last one we got, I think, was on PS4. And even that was after quite an absence. And I was really excited when that came out. I played quite a lot of that. I've never ever been good at golf games, but Everybody's Golf made me feel like I was all right at it.
There's something about being the ball that suddenly makes it like slightly easier to, or more intuitive, I think.
Being the ball.
Oh no, I'm thinking of what's the game where the perspective is just on the ball, the golf ball, rather than there's no one with a club.
Oh, Golf with Your Friends.
Golf with Your Friends. Yeah, that's right. No,
I'm all right at that one.
I do sort of conflate the two in my head sometimes, but
it's putting. It's putting in traditional golf games that always gets me.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a hill.
Exactly.
But I got pretty good at it in Everybody's Golf, and I just love how it's presented, and the sound effects are great. And everybody is golf.
Everybody is golf. That's
I love
true.
That. It's one of my favorites.
But that's why I like Golf with Your Friends, because when you are just a ball on a field, it sort of it removes one level of kind of abstraction from it. It's like, no, here I go. That's where I need to be.
And you can customize your ball and put like a little traffic cone on it.
Exactly.
And like a little floaty around your tum. It's great. Really good stuff. Well, I don't know if did you see the message in the group chat with Ashton
actually,
earlier? She did say that there was a new thing that she wanted us to try this week. And we'll let her know how it goes when she gets back, I suppose.
She's just given us a title, so we're just going to run with it and see what happens. It's called What We Playin.
It sounds ridiculous. It's What We Play in time to talk about the games, what we have been playing. Peter Austin, what have you been playing, please?
I've been playing everything. No, not everything. One thing I played last week, which was Minecraft. I've been playing some more of that. Having a very nice time. Getting confused when I find items I've never seen before in my entire life. But hey, that's been fun. Played that at the start of the week. Also forgot to say last week that you came over to my house.
Oh God, yeah.
And we played a bit of Crash Team Racing, didn't we? Nitro Fueled, and we played some Jackbox, I think.
Yeah, we played Quicksaw.
Quicksaw,
we?
yeah.
We had to make sure that Ashton Matthews was out of the country before we could hang out on our own. But yeah, we did. It was lovely.
Yeah, so I forgot to bring that up last time. But the main thing I've been playing this week, and I've done about 15 hours now or something, is Atomfall. It's the game I've been looking forward to for a while now. Sort of suddenly out of nowhere, I became very excited about it, having just sort of thought, oh, that looks good, I'll give that a go. And then I saw a trailer.
You want to live there, don't you?
I kind of want to live there.
there.
I don't really care about the nuclear radiation. I just want to...
All you're going is, the house prices are going to be so cheap after the radiation kills off all the old people.
Fantastic. So that is a game, by the time this podcast goes out, I'll have done a stream on it already, and I'll be doing potentially another one on Monday. It's set in the north of England in a very nice, bright and sunny. There's no day-night cycle. It's a double A game, yeah. So people going into this there'll be a certain levels of kind of quality of life or like extra features that you might think, oh, that's not in here, is it? Okay, fine. No, that's all right. But it's always daytime and sunny, which is nice because you're wandering around and it's a beautiful landscape. And that's probably, I think to an extent, it is an aesthetic choice where they do want it to have this. It's like the juxtaposition of how lovely everything looks and the chaos going on in it. So it's always a beautiful day in a nice village. But it's really interesting the way that they put the game together where you don't really, in the truest sense, have quest trackers and quest markers. You certainly don't have quest markers on your compass. But you just have a great big notebook with loads of different little things that you're finding. And it's like an emergent sort of experience where you just do a lot of exploring, a lot of talking to people, and things do just start to knit together.
Okay.
And it's quite interesting. Sometimes you'll follow a lead and you'll like get to the end of this, little sort of isolated storyline, and then you might be going off exploring somewhere else. And I found what would have been the very first kind of starting point of that story. So like a note that like sets you on, this quest to go like to this location. I'd sort of just naturally kind of come in halfway through that journey. And then I just found this note and I was like, oh, okay, if I'd found this originally, that would have like set me on that route already. So, it's very natural feeling. They do say, the developers are saying that no two playthroughs will feel the same. And I do feel like I'm every time I'm making choices that it probably will have like very real implications on the way that the game is running. So
the goal is to escape the village, right?
Yeah, essentially. So you will meet various kind of quest givers who, it seems to me like when you do a couple of jobs for them, there are a few sort of main characters who are all kind of leading you into the same spot. So I think it kind of converges into an area, and then from there it will probably like span out again depending on what your motivations are. So yeah, there's lots of ways in, and then I think the kind of the middle of the game there's a location in the game world where basically everyone for different reasons is saying you should go here and like explore this thing and tell me what you find, and or do something for me.
Right.
And then apparently there's 6 different endings. It's very easy to save scum if that's what you want to do.
Okay.
So apparently, like, to get the platinum or to get all the endings, it's quite easy. I think if you just save, you do a manual save before you do one of the game endings, you can then just load it up and do the 5 others. So,
right, okay.
which is good if that's how you want to play it.
Yeah, if you want to experience them all.
Yeah, I might, eventually just go back and do a full second playthrough and do every sort of opposite decision. But I'm having a really good time with it, and it's very much living up to what I expected. It does have that kind of AA feel where sometimes a lot of it's a bit sort of Skyrim in the sense that you can be wandering around and you will just find like little patrollers who are walking on their own little route, and they might fight with you, and there's lots of dungeons, which in this case are sort of little concrete bunkers and stuff, and that kind of feels very Elder Scrolls, but kind of lacking a bit of variety, lacking the level of variety you would get in something like Skyrim, where you meet all different kinds of people who are doing different things, and it might be a bandit, or it might be a guard, or it could be all sorts of different things. It's usually, if you're in this area, it's this faction, and everyone looks the same, and all they will do is either attack you or tell you to leave.
Right.
And the same in loads of different areas, but just a different faction per area, essentially. So
Gotcha.
in that sense, not a lot of variety, but that's not really what I'm playing it for, and I don't think that's really the intention. So it's not a AAA experience, but I'm having a really good time with it for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I should give that a go at some point.
yeah, maybe might have to just have a look at it and see if it tickles your fancy. But that's the main thing I've been playing this week. So what have you been playing, Ben?
I played a little bit more Far Cry New Dawn in co-op. That was fun.
Yeah.
I had to do every single one has sort of like a weird drug-infused fever dream level. They always do it. Every single one has one of those. I did that, and it was very confusing because they didn't really explain what you had to do, and so I had to Google it in the end, and then I worked it out.
Right.
But yeah, making progress in there. I don't think honestly I can be too far from the end of that game, because I think it was always a smaller sort of spin-off to 5. So maybe next week I'll have finished it. However, I have finished 2 games since last week. The first one being Silent Hill 2.
Yes.
Finally finished that off.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was good. I'm glad to have finally played it all the way through and experienced that. I can't say that it really, maybe I know what a bad game is, right? And I'm not saying that this is a bad game by any stretch, obviously. But maybe it's because I don't play horror games regularly that my ability to come away from a horror game and think that was brilliant is perhaps slightly skewed, because I came away from Silent Hill 2 thinking, cool, that's great, I finished that, and didn't really feel much else about it. And it might just be because I feel like everything about that game from doing what we've done over the years and all the spoilers that I've had. There were no twists in that game that I didn't know about, which was a shame.
And I guess the main horror gaming you currently do is probably just Resident Evil remakes, which are always really good. So it's hard to live up to that. It's
true. It was competently made. Some of the puzzles were definitely flipping stupid, especially towards the end. I did end up having to Google one, and it was like, in order to... basically you need to do this, but in order to do this you need to go to here, but in order to get into here you need a key, but in order to get the key you need to do this, and then once you've done that you get a code, and then you can put the code into this, which will give you this, and then you combine this and go to this floor, and it's like, this is just so stupid.
Right.
Don't be doing that right at the end of the game. And then obviously it just ends with a boss fight where you just shoot something over and over again until it's dead. Yeah. And that's perhaps just a dissonance thing that all horror games have to grapple with, because every horror game is like that, quite frankly. But I can certainly say it played well and it looked good for the most part. I still think it looked a bit wonky in places, and I am glad to have played it. And I anticipate Silent Hill 4, whenever that comes out and whatever form that ends up taking, because that actually looks like it could legitimately be quite scary. Whereas Silent Hill 2, I felt like the horror that I experienced was jump scares.
Right.
At no point was I like, I'm genuinely uncomfortable with the story or what's going on. It's kind of creeping me out, sort of thing. It was just a well-made game.
Right.
And that might be controversial to say because I did not enjoy it. I did enjoy myself, but I've come away from it without really feeling much at all.
Okay.
And I don't think that's the game's fault.
No.
To be clear.
Yeah.
I'm sad that I didn't come away thinking that was bloody brilliant. That. It also doesn't help that it took me like 3 months to finish it. Because I was dipping in here and there. But yeah, it was cool to experience, and I'm glad I did.
Good.
And if you want to play it, you can borrow my copy.
Oh, lovely.
So there we are. I've also finished GTA 4.
Oh, yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. I did that last night. The missions so stupidly hard towards the end of that game. The final one in particular, I had to replay 5 times because there's a big old... You have to drive across the city first, which is fine. There's no threats there. And when you retry... When you fail, you do restart from after when you've driven across the city, which is nice. So you don't have to do that again. And then there's like this big shootout in a warehouse, which I was fine at because like I'm sick of games, not a problem, no issue whatsoever. Killed all of them, and then you have to you enter a cutscene where you grab onto a helicopter, you fall off the helicopter, you then have to get onto a boat and follow the helicopter along while it shoots rockets at you.
Okay.
Then little Jacob arrives with his own helicopter. He gives you maybe a 5-second window to drive your boat underneath it, and then it will automatically show you getting onto it, and you have to mash the X button to get onto the helicopter. Mission continues. I could not catch up with that helicopter no matter what I did. As soon as I got into as soon as I landed in the water, I got onto the boat as fast as I could. I drove as fast as I could, and every single time I was going hell for leather, and he just took off before I could get close, and it failed the mission. I had to start again. Eventually, because there's 2 different endings of GTA 4 depending on choices you make. Eventually, I managed to find not a guide, but just someone on Reddit saying, because I was holding forwards on the left stick with the boat to keep the nose down, because I assumed that'll make me go fast. That's not true. Pulling back allowed me to catch up with little Jacob again. But the window is so small.
It's weird that they would make
so
it
hard
that tight that either holding up or down is going to cost you the
And then you have to do
run.
it all again. Then you have to fly all the way across the city. Again, no problem. Sick at helicopters, it's fun. Then you land and you have to chase down the guy you're chasing down and kill him. But there's loads of enemies. So the first time I did actually successfully make it through, and again, like I talked about last week, every time you fail a mission, you come back, your ammo that's been expended is gone. Your armor that's been expended is gone. So I ended up arriving with like a slither of health.
Right.
Or a sliver. And I was just killed immediately. I was like, cool, get to do it all over again. And then I finished it, the credits rolled, I was like, yeah, screw you, game. I beat you out of spite.
Yeah.
Not because I wanted to at this point. But yeah, it was cool. It was cool to finally finish that game, even though, my God, I can't wait to see the quality of life stuff they've changed for GTA 6. Like they simply have to just make mid-mission checkpoints because it's so annoying. And, you know, if you die in a mission and you choose to restart it, you should come back with the ammo that you had. Just reload it as if it was a...
as if it never happened.
And if you say no, then kick us out of the mission to the nearest hospital, and you lose a bit of money and you lose the ammo that you lost. Whatever. Just make that. I was just getting into taxis and skipping the just commuting to die. Annoying.
The fact they added checkpoints to the GTA trilogy or whatever they called it, and they did so little to that game. The fact that they actually bothered to go out of their way and add checkpoints to that makes me think that they must internally kind of think that is something that needs to be done generally going forward. Or maybe they thought it's only relevant to the old games, like, oh, those old games are really hard, we'll add checkpoints to those, but maybe not to GTA 6. But we'll
surely
see.
You've got to, especially when you're going to charge £100 for it. You got to throw us a bone there. But I liked the story. I really like Nico Bellic as a protagonist. I think he is so tragic and so haunted by his past in a way that really doesn't feel forced. I thought it was really well written, and that regardless of how the game ends. He loses, and I think it ends with him saying, "So this is it. This is what victory feels like." And he's basically just he's like he may have tried to put his ways behind him, but it's very tragic, and I think it's really somber and very mature for GTA, which is obviously mature in the adult sense, in the violence and so on, but often leans very heavily into mobster movie cliches and stuff like that. And this
parody gags and stuff.
This felt very somber. I will say that the forced romance between him and Kate McCreary didn't make any sense to me at all. She was just kind of not nice to him. And unless you actively go out on dates with her, she's a huge part of the story, and you may have never seen her outside of cutscenes where she has to be. It felt a bit weird. But great game. Got the trophy for finishing it in under 30 hours, so no big deal. And now, my poor remaining broken PS3 controller can rest.
Oh, yeah.
For a little while. But that's what I've been playing.
Lovely. Well, should we do question 2?
I think we should.
This comes from Moonstone Studios, who says, "Hello, BAP, bar, BP, or PAR. Choose appropriate based off hosts attending. Hello, BP.
Pub.
While the joke trailers and ads that go up on April Fool's Day from various games and their publishers usually aren't meant to be mean-spirited, sometimes they can make me a little sad."
Oh.
I've just realised that Jeremy Miller's question said, "Hey, BA." Instead of "Hey, BP."
Oh, so it did.
Ben and Ashton.
Jeremy,
please. There are definitely some exceptions to jokes never becoming real. The Yakuza Like a Dragon series springs to mind. But after 8 years, I'm pretty sure I'm never going to get my I wish it was real pick of Final Fantasy XIV's Tactics Alexander. While I sulk about the beautiful disaster that a tactical real-time MMORPG would be to even try to implement, maybe you could help ease the pain a bit by sharing your own picks for joke ads and trailers you wish would become real games. Also, thanks for always giving us something to laugh about when things are looking a bit bleak in the rest of the world. It means a lot to all of us, but isn't said nearly enough. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you.
That's very kind. Moonstone Studios, thank you.
Do you want to go first this time, Ben?
By all means, yes. So there have been some great April Fool's gags over the years. I know IGN historically has done a very good job of making, I think they did like a live action Zelda trailer years ago and things like that. But my pick, even though it's massively impractical, but it sort of reminds me of a time when PlayStation was fun. Pre-Jim Ryan was PlayStation Flow. So this was announced on April Fool's Day 2015. It was detailed in a blog post, which sadly now isn't live, but also had a trailer too, which you can find. And essentially, this is underwater wearable tech that allows players to play underwater sections of video games actually underwater. So this predated their first VR headset as well, and I think at the end, especially in the blog, particularly in the blog post rather, there was a little bit of promotion for, oh, and by the way, we're working on this headset. It wasn't yet called PSVR. It had some, I think it was called Morpheus, maybe some code name.
That rings a bell, yeah.
And so I think this was part obviously massive joke, but also like, hey, wearable tech. PlayStation might be doing some of that. That's pretty cool. Described as a watershed moment in wearable tech, the Flow includes 4 sensor pads to wear around each limb like inflatable armbands, which track your swimming, sending real-time updates of body movements back to your PS4 via remote play. The goggles, meanwhile, stream game data from your PS4 via Bluetooth and display gameplay only once activated poolside. There's even a PlayStation Flow body dryer, which uses ionizing technology to dry you within seconds.
Brilliant.
So the blog post actually had a full list of tech specs for all of the accessories, all the different parts of it. So it described the size, the weight, the stuff that's the technology that's in there, the stuff that they put, when they release an actual new piece of technology, which is just going the extra mile, as well as the trailer, which shows someone in a swimming pool wearing these blue goggles and things like that.
Yeah.
So with it, you got PS Flow goggles, PlayStation Flow thigh sensors, PlayStation Flow bicep sensors, and PlayStation Flow body dryer. Of course, not practical, and no one's going to want to go to a swimming pool and wear this, but I thought it was really funny, and I'm kind of sad that it isn't real, just as like a quirky thing that someone made, a company made, for like Labo.
Yeah.
Labo has, I'm going to say, zero legacy.
No.
I don't think anyone's talking about it anymore, even though it was quite revolutionary and exciting at the time.
Fun idea.
That's how I could have seen Flo go down. Do you remember when PlayStation made that underwater?
Thing.
Yeah. Do you remember when Nintendo did that cardboard stuff?
Yeah.
That's and Sega did the old Nintendo did the Power Glove, and Sega did that VR headset that wasn't a VR headset at all. I like that one a lot.
Well, speaking of Sega, this isn't my main pick, but do you remember when they did they put like a splash screen out or a little still from a dialogue moment where it was Sonic was dead on a sofa, and then they released a game called, I think this was actually released though, so it doesn't really count in terms of this question, but it was called something like The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog.
I think so,
but in the game, I don't think he was actually killed. I think it was he was solving a crime. I don't really remember the details, but I just remember the still where he looked dead on a sofa, and then in the bottom it was like Peach, I want to say.
Right.
One of the female Sonic characters saying something like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they really killed Sonic," or something.
Is it Amy Rose? That's one.
Amy Rose is one, but I think there's one called Peach or Peaches. I might
like
just be thinking of Peaches Geldof, but yeah, it may have been Amy Rose. I don't know. Well, so one that sprung to mind immediately was that Minecraft used to always do an April Fool's update through the sort of the early years when Notch was still in charge, and some of those were really cool. And obviously they only lasted a day, and it, occasionally it was like, oh, I wish they would actually just leave this in. So I think there was one where just for the day you could throw mobs, you could pick up like sheep and stuff and just chuck them,
right?
Which would probably be quite convenient for when inevitably a sheep escapes from your fence or whatever, and you're desperately trying to lure it back in with a bit of wheat or something. If you could just pick it up and chuck it over the fence, that would be really handy. But it didn't last. And there was one where a bunch of new dimensions had been added. There was this really strange one where it was just sponge blocks, but arranged in this like weird, there were all these sort of cubes and like grids and lattices, and it just sort of went on forever. A very sort of surreal world. And then, just removed after a day, which was a shame. But my main thing is something that it's a bit of a cheat because it wasn't an official thing announced by the studio involved, but it was announced by a website, a gaming news website.
Okay.
So Blast Magazine said in 2010, on the 1st of April, that Halo Reach was coming to PS3.
Right.
Which I'm saying that I wish this was true in the sense that I'm looking forward to the day when Halo makes its way to PlayStation. And although at this point in time I was a brief Xbox owner, I think the main reason I had an Xbox is because I wanted to play Halo. So if it had been the case that Halo had come to PlayStation at that point, it would have been very tempting for me to switch over. But I found the article on the Wayback Machine.
Nice.
So this is a quote allegedly from Bungie to Blast Magazine. "We've wished to harness the massive power of the PlayStation 3 for one of our games for ages now, and truly felt that Reach, with its epic scope, was a perfect match for the system," Brian Jarrard, creative director on the Halo Reach project, told Blast this morning. What's more, the studio said it plans to offer the game for PS3 enthusiasts at a cheaper price point of $49.99 on September the 7th, a week before it comes to Xbox 360.
Oh, God.
People took the bait, and I remember this at the time, and were up in arms.
Internet burned down.
They were furious that it was coming early to PlayStation and cheaper.
That's so funny.
But yeah, apparently in the fake statement to Blast, they said that since Halo 3, they've had two teams at Bungie working on a PS3 build and an Xbox build, and they've been, really sort of looking forward to doing it. And I remember as well that even got misconstrued in the Halo community, and I saw someone saying, no, the PS3 version apparently will be about a different team, a different squad.
Oh my God.
So it's like a whole different story.
Trust me, bro.
Like the PS3 version is going to be not about, whatever it was called, the guy. And
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna
can't
be,
remember what he's called.
Yeah, I've just forgotten now. It was on the tip of my tongue. But and that as well, I really wish that had been real, that there'd been a spin-off of Halo Reach where there's just a separate squad of Spartans on Reach also dying at the end. That would have been really cool. Anyway, it wasn't real.
Oh.
And in true sort of 2010s journalistic style, they edited the article afterwards and said something like, it was a harsher word than this, but it was like, "Hey morons, check the date that we published this, you idiots," or whatever. But it was a worse word than morons. I can't remember quite what it was.
They probably received a load of backlash, didn't they?
Yeah, probably. Because Bungie as well would have, anyone who believed that, Bungie would have received negative responses from the community, and they're like, it's not even our April Fool's joke, you've just implicated us in this. And now all of our Xbox loyal fans are going to be thinking that we're going to the dark side. So I bet Bungie weren't very happy about it.
Back when I was making videos is not the correct term, really, certainly not in the professional sense, but when I was making videos for Push Square, like 2012, 2013 sort of time, I did an April Fool's video that I thought was funny, and it happened to tie into one of my interests, which was Time Splitters. About how I'd got my hands on a copy of Time Splitters 4, the cancelled Time Splitters 4. I've got it, I've got it. I can't remember what the punchline was, but the people were just really cross. That's it. That's all you get when you stoke that kind of stuff, like, this thing you really want. People just get furious. So there is definitely a line that you like PlayStation Flow, which is obviously not real. But if you tease someone with something that they want, and they, even if they can work out straight away, this is just nonsense. They're like, why would you do that? Why would you
because that means that you know that I want it.
Exactly. So I just pissed off a load of people. I think I ended up asking for the video to be taken down. Not because I was getting a huge amount of backlash, but I saw people's reaction, and I just thought, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe we just take this one down. Never mind.
I mean, because that's, people get pissed off that you deceived them in the first place. And then, in this instance, people were annoyed if it had been true. So they were annoyed when it turns out it's not true because you tricked me. Why would you do that? But then even while they believed that it was true, they were also annoyed because they thought it was going to PS3. So no one was a winner here at any point through the joke, even while people were falling for it. But I wish it had been true. Halo coming to PS3 would have been really interesting. And, maybe on PS4 and onwards, we would have had Halo 4 and all the sequels, and I might have played them a bit more.
Different universe, maybe. I think, maybe I actually scarred Push Square because this year they didn't post any articles before midday. Just so that people, just to have sidestepped that whole, like, is it actually real? They wanted to verify anything that they posted, although that doesn't help that they're based in the UK and the US would still be doing April Fool's stuff up until their midday. So anyway, it's April Fool's stuff can be good, but also can be cruel and bad a lot of the time as well. I still think the best April Fool's thing that was ever released on the internet was our top 10 League and Legends characters of all time.
That was good.
We did one April Fool's Day list. It got like 2,000 views, and it was really hard work to make. There's so much effort.
Didn't know enough about League and Legends.
League and Legends. We just invented new characters and did silly animations, and it was way too much effort. And then no one watched it. It was like, okay, well, we won't do April Fool's videos anymore.
And those that did, I think there were some cross people who didn't really get that it was a joke and were saying, "Why are you saying that wrong?" Or that's not true. This isn't accurate.
It's like Hunky Boys every year. People are like, why? I don't get it. So we're just having fun. It's just a silly little joke. It's just a little joke. Don't worry about it. Why you have to be mad? It's time now for something PU. Do you smell it?
It's bad. It's strange. In fact, some might call it stinky peculiar.
Oh, weird news as well. It's weird news time for some weird video game news. Remember, if you want to submit some weird video game news to us, you can do so under the relevant social media post that goes out on a Wednesday. However, if you'd like to guarantee a shout out at this point in the podcast, you need to go to patreon.com/Team TripleJump, support us at the appropriate tier, and become a podcast producer just like
Michael Pendlebury,
Andy Scott,
Eric Siu.
By the way, very quickly, thank you to Eric Siu, who heard my plight about PS3 controllers and is sending me a couple of PS3 controllers. Very generous of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Blake Thomas.
Chip Timpson's thumbs.
Yep. Nicole Hansen.
Great Giggity.
GY Goliath.
Gabrielle Philippink.
And Big Money Bobby Vegas. Peter, have you got some weird news then?
I've got some weird news here that I think has only just broken. So it wasn't submitted by anyone, but I thought, that's a bit weird. That's strange. Breaking weird, yeah. So sorry for not bringing. Some people complain when we bring our own stories. And say, what's the point in asking us if you're? Well, sometimes it
doesn't take our fancy.
A weirder news story is out there.
We always look and we always appreciate.
Yeah,
but sometimes we find something that tickles our personal fancy.
Yeah, but this is from Nintendo Life. Random. It's actually tagged as random, but it doesn't say random : at the start of the headline, which is strange. Oops. Yoshi's Woolly World featured in Switch 2's compatible Switch games. Subheading, what's going on here? Nintendo's Switch 2 Direct highlighted all sorts of new and existing titles, but one of the more interesting discoveries in the North American broadcast was the artwork for what appears to be Yoshi's Woolly World, officially known as Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World on the 3DS. I didn't know it was called that. In the compatible Nintendo Switch titles section. What's odd here is that the 3DS or Wii U version of this game isn't actually available on Nintendo Switch. The Switch only plays host to Yoshi's Crafted World, and it's apparently this particular game that was featured in the Japanese and European broadcast of the video. Here's a direct screen capture from the North American broadcast. You can see Woolly World featured at the top of this. And then, on other versions, it was Crafted World, which is strange. The team at Good Vibes Gaming believes this graphic is kind of new, reworked art for Yoshi's Woolly World. So, is this just an error, or is it a potential teaser or accidental leak? Don't get too excited, but we'll just have to wait and see. Or maybe we'll just go and play the existing versions of Yoshi's Woolly World right now.
Will you be going to play the existing version?
What do you make of this? Let us know in the comments below.
Down below.
So that's a bit strange that it was Crafted World in two different regions broadcast of the stream, but in America it was Woolly World. So did they just use the wrong art by accident? But then why are they making different assets for
different videos, different territories,
especially when the European version was presumably broadcast in English everywhere, or maybe I don't know, maybe there were various different language versions, but certainly the English European version will have been indistinguishable to the American version. So why is there a separate thing there?
Weird.
Very strange. Yeah.
Maybe they're teasing the return of it, or have accidentally put an asset in that they shouldn't have done.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it might be a tease that it is eventually coming to Switch 1 and Switch 2, or could have just been an accident and they got the wrong Crafted World. But yeah, bit weird that.
Whoops. How embarrassing. They'll never recover from that.
No, that's it. The Switch 2 is over. It's cancelled. We're cancelling it.
Done and dusted.
Yeah.
I got some weird news. My weird news comes from Jonathan Wong on Facebook, Top Fan.
Top Fan. Thank you, Jonathan.
Random. This is from Time Extension, written by Jack Yarwood, and the headline reads, a fictional band from a Sega Dreamcast game has just won a music award in 2025.
Is it Space Channel 5?
Choo choo choo. No, it's not. 25 years after the release of the Japanese exclusive lifestyle sim Room Mania number 203, my favorite.
What?
Sega has published a message on social media about the obscure title, announcing that the fictitious band from the Dreamcast game Serani Poji has just won an award from the record label Nippon Crown. Serani Poji, in case you're unaware, was a band created for the Sega game by musician Tomoko Sasaki, who notably worked on the music to Rystar and Nights into Dreams, as well as the music producer Fukutomi Yukihiro and vocalist Yukichi. It was originally created to serve as the fictional favorite band of Romania number 203 protagonist Neji Taihei, but ended up becoming a proper act after the group's debut album Manamoon became a success in the country prior to the release of the game.
Right.
Notably, since then, the group has been involved in several big projects, being credited on the 2002 port of the Sega Dreamcast game and its 2003 sequel, New Romania Polarization, in addition to releasing other new material. However, not all of the original members would end up sticking around to see out all these projects. Tell us about the award, please. According to Sega, the project won the Streaming Hit Award at the 2024 Nippon Crown Awards, something that is attributed to the band's music recently having a resurgence on TikTok, where songs like Peepo Peepo and Where's Smiley have become popular with users.
Huh.
And then it ends.
Oh.
And that's the end of the article. It tells us all about the band and who's in it, and then it just says it won an award.
Huh.
I was kind of hoping to learn a bit more about the award.
Yeah.
But there we are.
But that's interesting.
A fake band from a Sega Dreamcast and PS2 game has won a music award in 2025.
Another wonderful thing that TikTok has brought us. God bless TikTok.
We love it.
We love it.
It's actually my favorite. I prefer it to clocks.
Yeah?
If I hear a clock making that noise, I go, "Where's the pictures? The moving pictures
POV.
from the POVs? Where are they?"
It's 3 o'clock. Yeah. Well,
Awful. I hate it.
we have played Nights into Dreams, haven't we? On weirdest games ever.
Yes, we have.
Christmas Nights into Dreams.
Yes, we have.
And that was. I guess the music was probably good. I don't really remember.
Fine,
Yeah.
probably. I don't know. Anyway, that was weird news.
Yeah.
It's time now for the big discussion. Big discussion time. Time for the big video game discussion. This week it comes courtesy of Connor Bennett and Cormoran Strike. Get down! Greetings, Ben, and also Peter.
Hello.
The Nintendo Direct, where the Nintendo Switch 2 was fully unveiled, including hardware details, software lineup, and the launch info, was on Wednesday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Thank you.
We will be back next time. So we reacted to the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct on Wednesday. We also did a news video. We have the news video notes here so we can run through what was actually shown off. And we have some updates on pricing and get here paper.
Get here.
And things like that. Most important thing though, Peter, price of the console and release date.
Yes. So the release date was announced during the showcase.
Right at the start.
During the
basically.
Direct. Yeah, in the first third or something. 5th of June, 2025. But the price wasn't announced until after the fact, sort of less than an hour. It was added to the website. You're looking at $449.99 in the US, 470 euros, and £395.99 in Britain. And that is without the bundled Mario Kart World version, which adds, I mean, it obviously
Like
varies country to
35
country,
quid,
but
isn't
about 30 odd quid, to each respective thing. But there's also sort of peripherals and things that we're hearing about now, right?
Yes, so we'll tell you a bit more about the details of the system soon, but the real headlines coming out of, the 24 hours since are that the Pro controller will be priced at around $79.99. Joy-Cons are going to be $89.99. The camera is $49.99, and certain physical editions of games, specifically so far we have Mario Kart World, $80.
Yeah.
$80. This is it.
$80.
The doors have been blown open.
Yeah.
I hope you're all ready for your $100 GTA because this is it.
Yeah.
If Nintendo's doing it, it's happening
For Mario
now.
Kart, yeah, it will be happening.
Now, you can have a conversation about whether that's value for money until the cows come home. The Moo cow.
That one that was
Meadows.
riding around.
Yeah, the one everyone loves
Yeah.
comes home. And quite frankly, if you were to ask me, Mario Kart World is the kind of game that you would play for years and years and years. Regardless, I still bristle at that price.
Yeah, that's the thing. So in terms of value for money, if you look at Mario Kart 8, whatever they call it now, it's got a little subheading, hasn't it? Deluxe or something, but whatever it's called, the current Mario Kart, it's been going for a very long time, constantly. So it's massive, and people are still playing it and enjoying it.
Yep.
And so if that had been this price, people would have had their value for money out of it by now. And in all likelihood, I suspect Mario Kart World will be even bigger. But I agree. Just the actual notion of putting that down, and you could say the same about GTA as well. In that, GTA Online right now, people have probably had far more than $100 worth of fun out of it, and likewise, I imagine GTA 6 is going to be even bigger, even better, and people will get more than $100 worth of fun out of it, however you quantify that.
Yes,
but it just doesn't feel right to me to be handing over 3 figures for a game.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. We've also learned that, again, we'll detail this in a minute, and some of you may know this stuff already, that certain games that are getting a Switch upgrade or a Switch 2 upgrade, if you own the original, it will be a paid upgrade. They didn't tell us how much. I don't know if this is true. I've just it's sort of breaking news kind of things are coming out all the time. Some people are saying $30 for an upgrade, which again feels extremely steep.
Yeah, by the time this podcast goes out, that might have been more solidly confirmed, but that is at time of recording. Yeah, just kind of going around in the rumor mill. So feels a bit much to me. I mean, when you think about the price that you would sometimes pay for a PS4 game to be upgraded to PS5. I mean, sometimes they were free, but it would be 10, 15 quid sometimes, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So that feels a bit expensive.
Especially when Sony have just been getting it in the neck. Basically, this entire PS5 generation for the PS5 Pro and their upgrade routes and the cost of peripherals and things like that and so on. And I'm not saying Nintendo's not getting that, because I'm seeing a lot of consternation about the cost of things online. What do you think about the cost of the system itself, though?
It is more than I would have wanted it to be. I'm not that invested in the Switch ecosystem anyway, so it's not going to affect me directly, but knowing that my friends and people I care about will want one of these, I wouldn't have wanted them to be charged more than $400 tops. So in pounds, what would that be about 350 quid or something? So for it to be $450, that again seems a bit steep. But as I said before, in a previous podcast and before we did our reactions, I don't think that I'm not surprised they've charged more than $400. I didn't want them to, but I thought they will probably get away with it and still sell many units. And you were hoping for something cheaper, right?
I certainly was, yeah. I think based on what they've said, again, a lot of the conversation is, well, for what you're getting in the box, that's not bad. That's about what you'd expect for something that can do that and be portable.
Yeah.
But personal preferences, I wouldn't have wanted to spend more than between. I was hoping £329 to £350.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, and. It is a little more than I would be willing to pay for. You're not going to be able to get them for love nor money, regardless. No. And they did announce actually that the bundle that now is seemingly more better and better value in that you get the Switch 2 and Mario Kart for just £35 more.
An $80 game.
Yeah, for just £35 more. It's going to be a limited time offer, which means that it's going to be an artificial. They're creating artificial scarcity for no reason whatsoever, and quite frankly, by the time you may be able to get one, because they're going to be snapped up, that offer may not be available anymore, and then you've got to pay full price for it. So there's a lot of frustration in terms of not just the price, but the price and potentially how they're going about marketing this thing.
Yeah, it's a strange move to have a bundled game package to be a limited thing like that, because all through gaming history, for as long as I've ever been in the gaming world, right back to the PS1, you've been able to buy bundled games bundled with a console for right through a console's lifetime. It's maybe they just mean this particular one is limited, and then then you're going to be able to get Kirby or something instead bundled. But why not just let this one just keep it going? It seems like a good way to get into the Switch 2, especially if you've not really played it before and you're looking at finally jumping in to the Switch. Having a copy of Mario Kart with your console for a much better value, it would be a really good entry point for people.
Now, we don't want to sound too negative. We're just
No.
talking about the financial side of things, which inherently is going to be where a lot of people have a problem anyway. I think on the whole, it was a very good Direct, very exciting, and we'll talk about the features in a moment. One last negative point about the financial side as well. We got a whole load of new tariffs announced earlier this week by President Donald Trump, which is also creating concern that actually these prices may balloon they may get even higher. So don't be too excited yet. Things can and will get worse.
Yeah, as I said in our news video, I think it partly, in terms of the value as well, it just partly depends what exactly this thing can really do. The claims are made and the games are shown off in the comfortable isolation of a live stream, but it's only when you really get hands-on with something and see how a game is going to run on the thing. If this is going to be something like close to an Xbox Series S and you can take it with you, then it is a pretty good price point.
Yeah,
but how is it going to stack up to the sort of the mini versions of current gen consoles? Is it going to compete there? We don't know yet.
No. Until Digital Foundry gets their hands on it. So we've got a load of details about the hardware, the sort of the basics really, but we still don't know how powerful it is. I'm going to rattle off some of the hardware stuff here. So it's got a bigger screen, but the same thickness compared to the Switch one, of course. It's got approximately double the pixels the Switch does on its 1080p screen. The screen supports up to 120 FPS, and it's an LCD screen. The new Joy-Con connects magnetically. There's a release button to release them. The SL and SR buttons are bigger, those being the buttons when you rotate the Joy-Con sideways. If you play Mario Kart and stuff, those have always been tiny and annoying. And equally, the control sticks are also larger, which is great. Mouse controls. So there were rumors for a long time about it potentially having mouse functionality. You just put the Joy-Con on its edge where the SL and SR buttons are, and you can use it as a mouse in certain games. The speakers have been improved. The stand is more versatile. There is a USB-C port on the top and the bottom of the device. Switch 2 comes with 256 gigabytes of internal storage, which is eight times that of the Switch 1. Reading and writing data is also faster. The Switch 2 dock has up to 4K resolution for some compatible games. HDR is also supported in TV mode. The dock has a built-in fan to keep the machine cool, but it is chunkier as a result.
Yeah, and again, as we said in the news video, all of this on paper sounds very good. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to dock a game and play it at 4K 120 FPS. There might be one or two games that run like that. Usually it's probably going to be that you're sort of choosing between the two or getting a little bit of the best of both worlds, but not quite. But, it's good to have those caps and to, for developers to be able to work up to some of those targets, I suppose.
Yep. All sounds good there to me, quite frankly. Unfortunately, micro SD cards, if you've got one for your Switch 1, it won't be compatible with the Switch 2 because it reads and writes faster data-wise.
Yeah.
And so you're going to need to buy a whole new set of cards.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Not ideal.
But hey, they have invented something brand new and exciting.
I've never heard of this before.
Game chat.
What is it?
Social communication and speaking on microphones and videos while playing games. It's crazy. We're being facetious. It was just the way they described it was as though it was
brand new.
They were trying to get the concept across to you, so you'll be able to talk to your friends while you're gaming. They could have just said we've added a chat feature, and people would have known what that meant. But it was in a very Nintendo way. It was outlined down to a level of detail that we didn't need.
No.
But whilst also occasionally leaving out details that we probably did want.
Yes. And they did make it sound like they had invented voice chat in video games. Good to see it there. That's nice. There is this camera that we talked about earlier that's basically just on a little stand. It looks really silly. Apparently, it'll be compatible with certain games, and it will rotoscope, so it'll cut you out from your background. But the use cases that they were showing it in, I don't believe for a second that it's going to work that well.
As cleanly as that.
Yeah, if you're waving, it's hard at the best of times for actual non-video game live stream equipment to track you out, dedicated stuff, the cameras we use in the office, for example.
Yeah.
it's not going to work that well. No. I don't think. But also you can share your gameplay with your friends as well while they're playing.
Yeah, well, or at least stills from it, maybe. Again, it feels like we're being very negative, but it was a great showcase. Yes. But the game share was a bit choppy looking and seemingly sort of by design. I don't think that they would have shown that off if it was sort of not running as in the way they wanted it to. So I think they're just happy with the fact that game share was very choppy. I should have gone back and watched, because I said this again in the news video yesterday, that I don't remember if it was smoother once they brought up one person's gameplay footage full screen. So is it just choppy because it was showing 4 different games running at the bottom and the player's game at the top? That's a lot to process. My memory is that when they brought up even just a single gameplay feed of their friend, it was still a bit framey. But so that's not great. You can't even have the excuse of, it's because there's 5 games running on screen,
It was weird. I don't really know why they would want to show the feature in that light. It was very stuttery.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, that's what the C button is for.
Yes.
On the Switch. It's for chat. The camera, yes, we talked about that. You can talk to your friends with the camera, and certain games like Mario Party Jamboree is going to have an upgrade for Switch 2 where you can appear on camera in certain instances. Mm-hmm. New mini games as well, I think, using some of the new features with the mouse controls and stuff like that. Game share is a pretty cool one though that they've added.
Yes.
That's essentially using a second Switch as player 2. Mm-hmm. So rather than giving them a Joy-Con, they can sort of have a local, as long as you're in the same room, they can have a localized version of your game, potentially streaming between the systems. I'm not entirely sure, and they will be player 2 but on their own system, which is nice. A bit like SharePlay that PlayStation's had for a while.
Yeah, distinct to the virtual carts that they talked about in the previous Direct, which is a whole other thing where you can loan games to each other and so on. But this is literally just, if you're in the same room, you can play seemingly kind of as much as you like. I don't think there's any kind of cap to the amount you can do this. It's just for playing local multiplayer, which is nice.
Yep.
They also have an Astrobot style.
It's not Astrobot.
It is.
But it's not, though.
But it's very similar.
No, it's not.
It's the Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which literally involves tiny little characters running and jumping around on top of a gigantic version of the console. It sort of teaches you about the various features and stuff, and I think maybe lets you see inside what some of the stuff, what's going on under the hood. Quite controversially, though, they're charging money for this.
I hadn't heard this.
I hadn't heard this at the time, but when I went home yesterday, I was looking online, and apparently they are charging for the Welcome Tour.
Why?
I don't know.
All it does is it's got a couple of mini games in, but it just tells you how the Switch works.
I know. I'll make absolutely certain that is true, but I saw lots of people complaining yesterday saying
that is insanity. That should be on every single Switch.
It should, yeah.
At that price, sorry, but at that price, you can't even have the decency to bundle Mario Kart World permanently.
Yeah.
You're gonna make them pay for a demo that tells them what their Switch is.
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
I mean, I'm sure it won't be $80, but
no, I bloody well hope not.
But yeah. Oh yeah. So Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour price in Japan is confirmed to be 990 yen, which is about $10 or 10 euros.
That is a farce.
Charging money for it. They didn't even show. I think they showed a single screen where someone was just standing on the side of the Switch and it was telling them about the magnets or something.
Yeah.
And that was it. We didn't even see and there's all this to do and different places to go and characters you'll meet or anything. It looks like quite a dry app, actually.
Yeah, it does.
So to charge money for it is not good.
No, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
But we're still being positive. GameCube games are coming to Switch Online. Finally, people have been waiting for ages. The ones they showed off were The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and Soul Calibur 2. There's more coming down the line as well. So that's pretty cool. It's nice to see.
And a little controller as well, of course, as they've done with the other classics libraries. So you can get your little GameCube controller, and that's got like a C button on it and stuff. So it's all updated.
And new buttons on the grips as well.
Yeah, that's right.
For something. So that's pretty cool. But there were loads of other games as well. That's,
There were.
I think, the most exciting thing for a lot of people is some of the new games that are coming to Switch. There's a slew of Switch 1 games that are getting upgrade packs, which might be $30. We're not sure, citation needed. That includes Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Party Jamboree, and Kirby and the Forgotten Lands are coming.
Also, some upcoming Switch 1 games that we knew about are now confirmed to be coming to Switch 2, unsurprisingly. So Pokemon Legends ZA and Metroid Prime 4, of course. And then there are also various third-party games that are already out elsewhere that are now coming to Switch 2, which is exciting. So I'll read a few of them. We've got Elden Ring, Split Fiction, Hogwarts Legacy, Street Fighter 6, Hitman World of Assassination, and some more, Ben.
Yes, Civilization 7, which will use the mouse functionality, which is probably the most significant third-party support for that. So you play that RTS however you like, which is nice. EA Sports FC and Madden NFL, and similarly NBA 2K and WWE 2K. There's no confirmation that they're getting this year's game, but certainly going forwards, there will be a Switch 2 version in those franchises, which is good to know. And Deltarune was also shown too, coming to Switch 2. So loads of third-party support.
Yeah.
But the most significant thing, Peter, talked about in the news, talked about on the stream.
Yeah.
The sort of the mainstream success or the playing with the big boys success, that being the Xbox and the PS5 and the PlayStation, Series X and PS5, would be, for me at least, it would be shown by the third-party support going forwards.
Yeah.
Because we've seen, you have to go back to the Wii to see that getting versions in franchises at the same time as PS3 and Xbox 360, but obviously they were very different. Wii U, when that came out, that felt like a real push from Nintendo to be like, okay, this is a more powerful version. You can play actual third-party games that people are playing on other consoles now. Yeah. But again, those weren't contemporary titles. Those were ones that were released a couple of years before. So Mass Effect 3, Batman Arkham City. Again, that's happened here. Elden Ring, Split Fiction is far more recent. Obviously, Hogwarts Legacy, Street Fighter 6, all from the last few years, but they've already been out. For me, I want to see games that are going to be releasing potentially the same day at a similar level of quality to PS5 and Xbox Series that prove that the Switch 2 is ready to be in that sphere with them.
Well, exactly. It shows that developers and publishers have faith in the system, both in terms of kind of that it's going to be able to run their stuff, and just generally that they think, this is a place to be going forwards, which then makes it for the consumer as well a place to be going forwards. So we have a few upcoming third-party games that have already been announced elsewhere that aren't out yet anywhere, and they're coming to Switch 2. So Hades 2, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, Borderlands 4, Randy came along to tell us about that one. And Silksong as well, just sort of very quietly got a release year. It says 2025.
Just 2025. And the internet went, please give us an actual release date. We're ready for it.
And Xbox has since tweeted saying, just to remind you, Silksong will be day one Game Pass, just so you know.
Borderlands 4, I think, is probably the most strenuous out of those games, and I'll be interested to see how it runs. That will be the real test for me, not just as a Borderlands fan, but generally, that's going to be quite a demanding game.
Well, given that the menus allegedly didn't even run very well on mainstream home consoles.
Yeah, Borderlands 3 did not run very well on PS4 Pro back in the day, so they had to fix that. But yes, this is significant, and hopefully this marks the start of the Switch. Going back to that, what's his name? Philly Spence quote about, we get that you're really annoyed that we make you make versions for Series S, which is weaker hardware. But just think, now that you got this version, you could put it elsewhere. We're doing you a favor, technically.
Yeah.
And so if people are releasing their games on Series S and the Switch 2 is sort of the same level of power, then that's it.
Yeah,
just stick it.
Why not just shove it on the Switch?
Yeah, just put it through the conversion machine. It's as simple as that.
Really easy.
You just run it through a program and then it works. So out pops the Switch 2 version. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
So yes, because with the added upside of the portability, that's going to be a real game changer for a lot of people who might consider getting the Switch 2 version over an established third-party machine like an Xbox Series or a PS5. But it just has to run well.
Yeah.
And we don't want The Witcher 3. Oh, isn't Cyberpunk also coming?
Yeah, actually, that's not. I couldn't at the time when we were doing our news notes. There was nowhere that had written absolutely everything.
Right.
I thought, well, unless I sit and watch through the stream again, we should have been making notes while we were live, maybe.
No, who's got time for that?
Cyberpunk also is coming,
and Yakuza. There's other games like that.
Yakuza.
So there's just a huge list of third-party games. But Borderlands 4. Let's see how that runs. New game reveals, Peter.
Yes, so as well as obviously the welcome tour that we've talked about, we had Mario Kart World, which is the next Mario Kart and now has a kind of open world free roaming feature. The maybe, I guess, perhaps explorable collectively things to do in your free roam mode. They didn't actually say that those sorts of things will be in there, but could be bonus objectives. But more importantly, there are going to be Grand Prix where between races you drive from one track to the next. I don't know if that is completely unchained kind of a chained together thing where you cross the finish line and just keep driving and reach the start line of the next one, or if it's like you reach the finish line, there's kind of a fade to black, and then everyone drives together across the world to the next track. Maybe I don't know.
Very optimistic, very Burnout Paradise. In that when you're not in these races, you can be hanging out with your friends just in the open world to an extent. But it's all on one map, and all the Grand Prix are sort of geographically nearby, so you can drive between them. 24 races, as we understood from the Switch 2 announcement. There's sort of pickups or power-ups you can get halfway through that seemingly change the outfits of the people that you were playing as. Not really sure what that does yet.
Rail grinding.
Yeah, you can grind on certain objects, and most excitingly, the Moo Moo Meadows cow is now a racer, and everyone was losing their mind at the cow grinding on a little moped across a wire, which was fun.
It was good.
Yeah. Dragon Drive.
Yes.
That is drag and drive, not Dragon Drive, as in the mythical beast.
No, or Drag X Drive, as it's stylized.
No. So this is their ARMS equivalent. Like when the Switch came out, you had ARMS, which was all about the Joy-Cons, big gimmicky thing. That's what this is. It's a wheelchair basketball Rocket League kind of game, and you have to use your two Joy-Cons and slide them forwards to as if you're pushing the wheels, and pull back on one side to turn, and so on. Looks interesting. I think it looks a bit cumbersome to play.
Yeah,
because you're just going to be rubbing the Joy-Cons on your thighs over and over again.
Or you need to play at a desk. It's kind of a strange.
So
I'm intrigued to see how the mouse generally works in a lot of games. Whether the developers do expect you to be. Whether you need a hard surface, or does it work perfectly well on your lap?
You would hope so.
Yeah.
It's obviously just a very gimmicky game. It's brilliant for inclusivity. It's nice to see that wheelchair basketball just represented in a sport like that. I would personally want an alternative control scheme potentially. If you have to play it with the motion controls, that could. Yeah, I just see it being kind of annoying to play for more than half an hour.
Yeah, and I think it lacked some of the visual spectacle of something like Rocket League. Now, I'm not saying it should be exactly the same in a giant stadium with fireworks necessarily, but it was in a very moody sort of noir kind of a black and white monochrome thing. Yeah, and I think everyone just had a bike helmet on, didn't they? I don't think we saw any faces, so it was all quite homogenous and uniform, and it would have been quite fun to see, cosmetic items or the things that you do have in Rocket League. So hopefully there is a bit more to it visually.
Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. This is a Tecmo Koei game. I think it's a Musou game. It's a Warriors game, so it's hack and slashing at lots and lots of enemies. It's a prequel to Tears of the Kingdom. You play as Zelda, among others. Not going into spoilers about Tears of the Kingdom, but you know what Zelda was up to during that game, so it details that essentially, and it's in the art style of Tears of the Kingdom. So if you want some story, then that'll be a good avenue. And Musou games are very, what's the term? They can be surprisingly deep and adaptive. You're not just going to be hacking and slashing at loads of enemies over and over again. Persona 5 Strikers really surprised me because I thought that's all I was going to be doing. But then they had the social stuff. They had lots of walking around environments and chatting to people and things like you would expect from a Persona game. And, Hyrule Warriors, what's it called? Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment has the potential to do that as well. So, looks pretty exciting.
Then Ben got very excited, understandably, because we saw what looked a lot like Bloodborne. It was in a Victorian-esque, or at least London-looking place. It was very... there was talk about blood, which obviously is a bit of a giveaway that it might be Bloodborne. And
it said From Software.
It even said From Software on the screen. Now, it was clearly, if it was going to be Bloodborne, it was a bit more modern or set in the future, because we saw a train pretty early on, or a bus or something. Yeah. But then it turned out, no, it's not Bloodborne. It is the Dusk Bloods, which is a vampire game. Is it a PvPvE?
Yeah, so this has since emerged. I think everyone got really excited when it was announced. It is a Switch 2 exclusive, which was also like... So some people were furious because they were like, why no one who plays Nintendo games likes Souls-likes. Why are you doing this? And then other people, myself included, were like, well, I hope Sony's flipping embarrassed, because they could have had a Bloodborne remake and a sequel by this point, and they haven't done a bloody thing, and there's clearly a big demand for it, and now they've gone and made Bloodborne 2 for Nintendo instead.
And it's going to do really well, and Sony will think, oh, we should have done it.
But then it came out that it's a PvPvE multiplayer game for up to 8 players, and I think the entire FromSoft fandom just went, that's not what we want. Night Rain will be good, I'm sure, but they really want to make this work. Yeah. They really want to make this multiplayer stuff work.
They do, don't they? And it wasn't clear at all from the trailer. No. It looked like it had a single protagonist, and then, we saw some characters that clearly they appeared to be the supporting cast. Like, I assumed you play as, John Duskblood, the guy who was running around, the slender guy, and then there was a lady with white hair or pink hair or something who kind of looked like might be a friend. But I assume that some of these are different playable characters, but it looked like, no, you just play as that guy, and these are your mates who you meet in the story. But
it was a really weird trailer as well. We were talking about it at the time that it reminded us of Lies of P, not just because of the setting, which was a bit more steampunky, kind of diesel punky sort of stuff. There was a weird little guy with a jetpack that flew off at one point, sort of ramshackle outfit. But yeah, just like the way it was shot was weird. Like usually these trailers are really cinematic, and this felt like it being a multiplayer game makes a lot more sense. The way that they were panning around certain characters, where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, they're probably forced to pan around them like that because they don't exist in a specific way in that environment, because it's a multiplayer game and stuff. It was all very strange, and I already came away from that feeling like, because of how weird the trailer was, I don't really feel much about this at all, apart from the fact that I'm annoyed that it looks so much like Bloodborne, and I just want more Bloodborne.
Yeah.
But
even if it had been a multiplayer game, you weren't that keen.
I wasn't that fussed. But learning now that it's a multiplayer game, I'm thinking, I'm not interested. And also, I wouldn't buy a Switch 2 for it, certainly.
No.
So...
Yeah. And how much will they charge for it? Will it be $80?
Probably. Probably.
We'll see. But the last couple of things we saw were from some more big Nintendo names. So we have Kirby Air Riders, which is a sequel to Kirby Air Ride, which was a GameCube game from back in the day. It's another racing experience for your Switch. So, but this time you're hovering off the ground a little bit.
Yeah, it was just a little teaser. We didn't see anything. And it's being developed. It's being led by Sakurai, who is all done with, I always want to say Streets of Rage every time. Smash Bros. Yeah, Smash Bros is now working on this, so that's cool. And finally, the big last one was Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is a brand new Donkey Kong action platformer. You can smash up the environment. His face is very... malleable and expressive, and it looks very colorful and fun, and it's just it's sort of, I imagine, in place of a 3D Mario, this is the kind of thing that would definitely fill that hole.
Yeah, and it's his first game since the redesign. The redesign was first sort of revealed in the tiny bit of Mario Kart footage we got in the direct, where he was sort of driving in the background, and people went, "Hang on, what's he done to Donkey Kong?" And then now, not only that will he be looking like that in Mario Kart, but he's got his own game and looks the way he does. I don't think it's bad necessarily. I think it's a shame that they've taken changed a design that goes right back to what the SNES, I think. When did he first appear as we know him? I guess on the Super Nintendo. Yep. I know he was also Pixels back with Jumpman, but the design we know and love is a very old one, and now it's been changed. I don't think it's a bad one, but it's sometimes it's sad to see things go.
I hate it. It's different. So disgusting.
But very expressive, as you say. I think it lends itself more to that kind of cartoony aesthetics, which is nice. Yeah.
I bet it'll be really fun. And that's sort of that's basically everything that was shown. We've got upcoming directs that will tell us more about certain things. I think on the whole, that was really exciting and very cool to look at. I think the price is going to be a real sticking point for a lot of people in many regards. And pre-orders will be open on the 8th of April as well. So that's going to be an absolute disaster. It's so close as well.
Yeah.
Only 2 months out. The fact that the direct ended and they hadn't told us a price. And then we went upstairs and the price was revealed. It's like, why didn't you say?
Strange.
Mental.
Maybe because perhaps they do know that it's a little bit of a sticking point for some people. But I know we did grumble about a few things where we sounded a bit negative, but it's mainly just the price of the console and of the games. And the hardware I think is all quite interesting and impressive. It's just that they presented some of it in a very Nintendo way, which is not always the best way to do things.
It made me excited for the Switch 2, and I want one. I'm just not willing to spend that much money on it. So I'll have to wait 2 years for a price drop, maybe.
Yeah,
or whenever
maybe.
it is they drop that price. But yes, what did you think about the Switch 2? It's an exciting time we live in. We're going to have a brand new console release in the next 2 months. Will you be getting one? Are you a bit miffed about the price? What do you think about the cost of Mario Kart World being $80? That's a bit flipping high, isn't it?
It is a bit flipping high, yeah.
I think someone even said that that physically it was going to be 90 euros or something, like 89, 99 euros for a physical. So the physical version would cost more than the digital one.
Wow.
But citation needed, and I think it was in euros, not in dollars. There's a lot of confusion about what things are going to cost at the moment, and Nintendo really need to clear that up. We need to know.
Well, another reason that they should have just spent a few minutes
talking about the
stream,
prices.
talking about it, but they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Well, there we are. Thank you so much for listening / watching. We really appreciate you. There's a few places around the internet where you can find us. Peter's going to tell you a couple of them right now.
You can find us on youtube.com / Team TripleJump for some excellent videos, and we stream on there occasionally, but we stream more often on twitch.tv / Team TripleJump, where if you've got Amazon Prime, you can get a Twitch subscription at no extra cost. It's part of your bundle, so you get all the benefits of being a subscriber. And also you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Team TripleJump.
Yes. Patreon.com / Team TripleJump. Go and support us there if you wouldn't mind. You're so lovely. Thank you. Stop it. No, don't stop it.
No, don't stop.
TripleJump is our website. There you can find links to everything that we do. TripleJump shop. You've already talked about that, I think. Have you? Have we done that?
No.
Where is that? Have I missed it? It's not on there.
It's not on there.
I thought it was for some reason. We talked about it at the start. It's fine. TripleJump / video game. Go and wishlist our game on Steam. We're making it. And why not leave a 5-star review on your platform of choice? It helps something to do with Algorithm rhythms. Thank you so much, everybody. Just enough time to talk about this week's sponsor once again, which of course is that the highly anticipated Naughty Dog game is now available on PC. That being The Last of Us Part 2, re-release 2, remaster, remake, PC Big Bugs Plenty of Crashes edition. So wheel out the money trolley and dump it at Naughty Dog's door.
Do you think they'll remake that one day?
Only, I don't think they'll wait. I think realistically, maybe 2 or 3 months from now, we'll get a remake.
That'd be good.
This.
Yeah.
And then they can remaster it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're already remastering the remake.
Yeah, they could be doing that right now.
It's pretty exciting. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.
Bye.